Thanks for making the time to join us. Thanks for making the time, and I understand you are different parts of the world and different timings. It's lovely to see you all, but before I start the formal meeting, we need to do a couple of things. Let's start with the national anthem of Tanzania to commence the meeting. Thanks, Tanmir.
Yeah, give me a second, I'm going to cue it up.
Tanmir, there's no sound on it, please.
There's no sound.
Tanzania na watu wake, ibariki. Tanzania, ibariki. Tanzania, tubariki. Watoto wa Tanzania.
Thank you, Tanmir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, now before we formally start the meeting and do a formal welcome and go through the agenda, would want all of you please to have a moment silence for the departed souls from our cricketing family. I would appreciate that. So let's have a moment silence for a minute, please. Thank you all. Thanks very much indeed. It's always sad to leave, sad to hear of someone departing from our cricket fraternity, but their memories and greatness will always stay with us. The good news is we have many seniors still with us, and it's good to know that they're still keeping in touch with the families, and may this continue for as long as we can. Thank you. Now I can formally welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to the meeting. Thank you for taking the time and joining us with the meeting. We have an interesting agenda lined up for you all, and I'm sure we'll enjoy it. If you can kindly make sure if there's no interference whilst we've left everybody on unmute, leave yourself towards the end. We'll try to fit you in towards the end if you wanted to say anything. If there's anything, anybody wants to say anything urgent, please raise a hand and we'll try to accommodate you straight away once the item on the agenda is coming towards the end. Appreciate your support in this regard. Okay, starting with the meeting, let me first of all say, unfortunately, there has been some corrections and modifications to our original flyer. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, regrettably, Ijaz Balu not be with us today. But I'm extremely delighted that we have great replacement in Sajid Jani. He's very well acquainted with Zanzibar cricket, even his dad, a famous Zanzibar cricketer. So all over to you, Sajid, please, if you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharat Bhai. Greetings to all of you. Good afternoon, good evening. So I'll be reading this script on the brief history of cricket in Zanzibar. In this short span of time, it is not really possible to bring back to memory the glorious decades of cricket in Zanzibar. Suffice it to say, those were the days. It was in the late 19th century, in 1890, in fact, that the first ever known recorded match took place in Zanzibar between the British settlers and the British Navy. Thus, to bestow the honor of naming Zanzibar Island as the mother of cricket in the archipelago, which is a group of islands, and the then Tanganyika may not be out of place. In 1926, British Navy HMS Pegasus anchored at Zanzibar port, and a cricket match was played between HMS Pegasus personnel and Zanzibar government national team, the Zanzibar 11. In the 1930s onwards, regular cricket tournaments between Dar Combined 11 and Zanzibar 11 were competed for the prestigious Pradhan Ladakh Memorial Trophy. Zanzibar held the trophy for 3 consecutive years. Of course, communal teams did make frequent bilateral visits for the love of cricket. There is a record of the visit of the MCC team in Zanzibar in 1957, and again, the team returned to the island in 2007. The cricket archives have record of several games played by Zanzibar International, such as against Uganda beginning in 1956. A South African non-European side also played in Zanzibar around 1958 and Sundar Sports Club. A Pakistan team under the captainship of Abdul Hafiz Kardar also visited Zanzibar in 1956. Cricket was almost a national game and a pastime in which every community fought for supremacy. The teams at the time were Isnashri Gymkhana, Hindu Sports Club, Bohora Gymkhana, Arab Sports Club, Cosmos Club, Comorian Club, Goan Club, Aga Khan Sports Club, Sunni Memon Club, Parsis, and other school teams vied for the various trophies at stake, such as KJ Cup. The Saturdays and Sunday leagues and knockouts were regular feature, and the public was entertained to a high class of the gentleman's game. Zanzibar cricket was an envy of the mainlanders. Each team had its own heroes, whom they worshipped like semi-gods. There were so many celebrated individual cricketers produced by each team, some of them for their exemplary performances on and off the field, that they were household names. To name them all would be out of scope of this write-up. It is on record that some of these players did make to the Tanganyika national side. In fact, sometimes in the 1980s, 4 players were invited to participate in the trial games in preparation of the triangular cricket tournament. Chirantan Shukla, in an op-ed in 2016, wrote the following: I had a keen interest in sports and followed the national cricket and football teams. The makeup of Zanzibar cricket team illustrated the multi-ethnic cohesion of the Zanzibaris. However, with mass exodus of cricketers from the island to the mainland and overseas, the game fell into disarray and neglected. It was no longer played in schools, and whatever few teams that were able to muster players to form a team did so under very unfavorable circumstances. No proper ground, no carpets, and no cricket gear. cricket vanished from the map of Zanzibar, except for a few cricket games from the mainland. Salim Said Salim observed the following in his article on cricket needs to be revived in Zanzibar on August 10, 2013, in a Tanzanian newspaper. He says, in the past, cricket was played in primary schools in Zanzibar, but today the schools' playing grounds have given way to development. It is almost a miracle now if one could find even a single student or a teacher in a public school in Zanzibar who played cricket or at least knows the rules and regulations of the game. Lastly, we can see a very bright and shiny light at the end of the tunnel. The foundation stone laying ceremony, which was held in June of this year, of a cricket stadium in Zanzibar by the Honorary President of Zanzibar in the presence of the great legendary Indian cricketer Sunil Gavaskar, the ambassador of sports in Zanzibar, gives one the hope that the days are not far away when cricket in the island will be restored to its former glory. Let us await for that momentous day. This text was prepared by Abdulrazak Sharif and Razak Kara. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Sajad. Who would have expected that a small island within East Africa, an island of Zanzibar, would play such a historical part in the history of East African cricket? Very interesting. Thank you, Sajad, again. Before we go on to our next item, which is a short documentary on foundation laying ceremony, which Sajad mentioned briefly, there's a small correction I just need to make within the video. And the video states that the foundation stone laying ceremony in the stadium was named after Sunil Gavaskar, which is not the case. In fact, His Excellency the President of Zanzibar, in presence of legendary Sunil Gavaskar, just laid the stone to build the stadium. Okay, Tanvir, all yours, please. Can you play the short documentary? Thank you.
Namo. Okay, mate.
Our sincere gratitude for your intention to work with us here in Zanzibar to support us in our development agenda, sports area. Once again, please receive our sincere gratitude and appreciation for you to take time and come here, and for your willingness to support Zanzibar and to work with us in achieving this milestone.
I'd like to just thank you, and may I please hand over the mic to Your Excellency, please.
Okay, there's another video that I'm going to queue up after this one. So give me just 1 second.
I want to convey our
Na tulipowaambia wenzetu kwamba wakija kuweka uwanja wa cricket, maana yake tutapata timu kutoka nje na vijana wetu hapa. Kwa maana hiyo haitakuwa mchezo peke yake, itakuwa ndani yake kuna utalii. Kwa hivyo leo nichukue fursa kuwapongeza ndugu zetu. Kama mlivyosikia, wataweka uwanja mkubwa wa cricket, kutakuwa kuna uwanja wa riadha, kutakuwa na uwanja wa mpira wa miguu,
Apologies for that.
kutakuwa na uwanja wa tennis, kutakuwa na bwawa la kuogelea, alimradi mambo mazuri yanakuja.
Sorry, I'll re-queue that one. My apologies, guys.
Nzuri sana, lakini ni mchezo mkubwa sana duniani. Na tulichowaambia wenzetu ni kwamba wakija kuweka uwanja wa cricket, maana yake tutapata timu kutoka nje na vijana wetu watajifunza, na kwa maana hiyo haitakuwa mchezo peke yake, itakuwa ndani yake kuna utalii. Kwa hivyo leo nichukue fursa hii kuwapongeza ndugu zetu. Kama mlivyosikia, wataweka uwanja mkubwa wa cricket, kutakuwa kuna uwanja wa riadha, kutakuwa na uwanja wa mpira wa miguu, kutakuwa na uwanja wa tennis, kutakuwa na bwawa la kuogelea, alimradi mambo mazuri yanakuja. Mchezo wa cricket hapa kwetu
Bharat, these are the next pictures if you want to talk about them.
These are some of the photos, obviously, as you will see, taken during the opening ceremony to lay the foundation stone in Zanzibar. Legendary Sunil Gavaskar with some of the dignitaries. Obviously, everyone very excited with the project, looking forward to it. Can't wait for the stadium to be opened and some international game staged at the stadium. It will be wonderful excitement when it does happen. I was lucky enough to be there a couple of months ago. I saw the stone on the grounds. So all looking good. Excitement ahead.
And there's one more video that I'm going to queue up right now.
Just a short one, yes. Thank you, Tanvir.
Next year. And also at the same time doing that self-analysis, which is so important to get you to improve and get better than yesterday. So my appeal to you is just keep doing that.
And that's the end of the video, Bharat.
Thank you, Tanvir. As I mentioned, that something to really look forward to in due course. Hopefully it will be a couple of years and we'll see the real results. Now, looking forward to the main item of our agenda, the Spotlight interview. We'll have Norman Da Costa, who will interview the legendary Tanzanian cricket legend, Dr. Gupta. Over to you, Norman. Thank you.
Thank you, Boris. Oh, I'd like to welcome Dr. Kulbir Singh Gupta. In fact, Kulbir, this is the first time we have had the honor of welcoming a doctor on our East African Cricket Forum. Back in Kenya, we had pace bowlers, Ranjit Singh and Shashi Patel, who traded their stethoscopes for whites. You, Kulbir, are highly regarded in your profession and did many crown fittings as a player, administrator, and umpiring in East Africa. In the short time, we have to let us scope into your illustrious career in this segment, especially in Tanzania. So welcome on board, Dr. Kulbir. Yeah, I understand you started playing the game at Tanzania Secondary School, and you made, I just wanted to find out what made you get into cricket, and did you have any childhood heroes that you looked up to, childhood memories you would like to touch on, Kulbir?
Thank you, Norman, for that presentation. I am not, in all humility, a legend. I am just an ordinary cricketer, and I believe that the love for the game of cricket, especially vis-a-vis the growth and development of cricket in Tanzania, is what has probably made me more central to cricket. But having said what you said, I have one small memory in connection with the Tanzania Secondary School, where I passed out my Form 4 with Cambridge joint examination for school certificate for GCE. That was in 1964. And I remember the occasion of the house competitions, the cricket, where cricket was played on our ground. And C.D. Patel was the coach of the school team. I did not play for Tanzania Secondary School, but one particular incident comes to my mind when I started as an in-swing bowler, and as a 14 or 15-year-old lad, I knocked out the leg leg stick of Suresh Raval. And as I came outside, C.D. Patel was actually ridiculing, if not chiding Suresh for having played the ball in the wrong way. And CD had the tendency to give a 5-shilling coin, the East African silver coin, to anyone who pulled up a great act. And I was hoping, since I had seen Suresh Raval every time scoring a lot of runs, getting lots of coins, maybe I might be entitled to 1 5-shilling coin. I never got it. Maybe I felt a bit disappointed, but I kept on playing the game.
Actually, City must have run out of some coins, did it? Yeah. But after that, Kulbir, I understand you traveled to India and you played in the Kanga League in Bombay. Was there an incident in Baroda you would like to elaborate on? Or maybe give us a short explanation on the Kanga League, please.
Yes, I played for MV Sports Club in Bombay then, and it was actually a 6th division side of the Kanga League. But being in Bombay, I was also the captain of the Government Dental College and Hospital for 2 years. And I was also the captain of Bombay YMCA Cricket 11. This was from 1970-71. And the incident which you mentioned about Baroda it's about Baroda, and Anshuman Gaikwad was playing for the Anshuman, the Sayaji Rao Gaikwad College, and our first match was against them. And I had a tendency to sort of late cut, and he probably saw that as a flaw on my part. And I saw him going over to the bowler, was an off spinner, and he must have told him something, and maybe bowl outside, wide outside the off stick, and which he did. And I tapped the ball, and I was snapped in the gully. And as I was walking out, I saw the bowler going to the umpire, and the umpire calling Anshuman Gaikwad to his side. And they were looking at the watch. Now, for a Sikh, you see, it happened that the time happened to be 12 at that time, exactly 12 noon. So he looked at the watch, Gaikwad, and he said, umpire's watch, he said, 12 baje hain. So they thought perhaps I would get angry or something. I did not get angry. I said, मैं वापस खेल सकता हूँ? Can I bet again? And that banter just resulted in a lot of laughter, and we made friends. Gaikwad returned to Tanzania some time back, and we exchanged pleasantries at that time.
And tell me, Kulbir, I understand you switched to fast bowling, to wicket keeping, and you became an opening batsman as well.
That's right.
Why the switch at that stage?
There was no wicket keeper, a good wicket keeper for the Government Dental College side. And when I came in, it was in the second year, the good wicket keeper left. He had got his qualification, the BDS degree. So I took over, and I developed from that particular year. And I think I managed to convince them that I could keep well.
Oh, that's interesting. And tell me, Kulbir, once you got back to Tanzania, how many times were you capped by your country?
I played for 4 years for Tanzania. Is that
Okay.
your question? Is that your question?
Yes.
I played for four
Yeah, how
years.
many caps did you win?
How many?
Okay. How many times were you capped by Tanzania?
I don't understand your question.
No, how many times did you represent Tanzania?
I
Or you
still
can't remember? Well, that's okay. But anyways, after playing for Tanzania, I understand you moved to umpiring.
Yes, I did move to umpiring. Yes, and it was, in fact, coming to umpiring. It was a career of about almost 20 years at a stretch. Like Subhash, who was the Kenyan umpire, we exchanged notes on a regular basis. And I think I had the privilege and the pleasure of doing umpiring with a lot of, when a lot of teams came into Tanzania. And some of the important matches were the 1979 Hyderabad Blues. We had the M.G. Griffiths MCC side in 81. We had Mike Norton's visiting MCC side in 82. Then in 1983, with Bhavin Vaishnav, I had umpired in the Kapil Dev's visiting side. There was an incident during Kapil Dev's Kapil Dev's visit. He came in and on the Darslan Gymkhana ground, he had removed his shoes. And somebody from the pavilion told me that he is going to make a kind of a light-hearted sort of approach to the Tanzanian cricket. So I went over to him and I said, Kapil Ji, you are a great all-rounder. As far as Tanzania is concerned, we still haven't got even the status as an associate member of the ICC yet. We are working in that direction. We don't consider ourselves as a test-playing nation, but my personal and sincere request to you is to treat us as a cricket side, and please put on the shoes. And I would personally request you to do so. So he hugged me at that time, and he said he had no intention of doing that. He put on the shoes and he went onto the ground to play the
Match. Yeah. So that was pretty embarrassing. I mean, for him. Yeah. But tell me, in 1982, I understand there's the story to be told when Norton's junior team toured Tanzania. Do you recall that incident, Colbert?
1982?
Yeah. MD Norton's junior team.
Oh, yes. I remember the bowler, I forget his name, and I was hit on the spectacles. I was wearing actually glass spectacles then, and the right one broke, and the glass shred actually sank into the lower part of my eye here. I still have a mark of that. And I went back to the pavilion and I was bleeding. And I took hold of a second pair of glasses and I went into bed again. I was told by the captain not to do that, instead wait for a while. I went in to play and I was out the next ball.
That's interesting. But your eye healed up after that and you continued umpiring.
Yes, I did. I did
Yeah.
so.
And I understand that you were president of the Tanzania Dental Association for 10 years. And you're a
Yes,
prominent member of the Dar es Salaam Gymkhana Club. And I'm very happy to hear that you were honored by having the pavilion named Dr. K.S. Gupta Cricket Pavilion around 2019. Is that correct?
yeah, that is correct. And I owe it to the management committee of the Dar es Salaam Gymkhana Club, especially Mr. William Chipeta, the chairman of the management committee of Dar es Salaam Gymkhana Club then, and the succeeding captains, Harshil Shah, we have Mr. I would say Ashish Nagewadia, and the present ACA captain Abhik Patwa. They were succeeding captains of the Dar es Salaam Gymkhana Club after I left, and I owe it to them for. I don't know what I should say. It was an emotional affair, and when I came to know about it at that time, when actually I was making presentation of a cup to somebody at that time for some club, they announced it then, and I just could not help myself and being emotional with tears streaming down my cheeks. But it's an honor that humbled me. It's an exaltation which I think I will carry to my grave. Thank you.
I'm
for
pretty
that.
sure you will. Congratulations on having that honor bestowed on you. And
Thank you.
tell me, I understand you umpired in the Africa Cup final. I believe that was in Nairobi. Was it, Colby?
Yes, that was the year 2000. And I don't know if you can see this. This is the,
Yes, we can.
in appreciation for that. And the match was between Kenya and South Africa then, which Kenya won easily under Tikolo. And immediately after the game, the captains of both the sides, including Chipeke, I believe it was Chipeke of the SCA chairman, they came over and shook hands with me and said that the umpiring was of a very high standard, and I was moved. One thing that comes to my mind, and I hope Razabai in particular doesn't get sensitized by what I'm going to say here.
I don't think anybody would be.
Yeah, as we were going back to our hotel, earlier, of course, the SCA met and they decided that they would form the Empire's panel, the East and Central African panel, and they had put me on the panel. But as we were going back to the hotel where we were, Sipten Kasmali, the coach of Tanzanian team and a great friend of mine, we were seated in the rear. The chairman and the secretary of the Tanzania Cricket Association were in the front. I'm not naming names here. And Sipten Kasmali turned to me and he said, "Doc, you know what? They have taken you off. They have deleted your name from the panel of umpires." And I was horrified. I asked for an explanation to the chairman, from the chairman and the secretary who was seated in the front. There was no explanation. And after coming back to Tanzania, I tendered my resignation as the vice chairman of Tanzania Cricket Association.
Was it Was any attempt made by them to get you back into the fold once you return to Tanzania?
No, not at all. After that, it never transpired. I was just sidelined totally.
So you obviously were stabbed in the back by some of your good friends.
Well, I don't have an explanation for that, Norman.
Yeah.
I think it's just a pettiness of the mind. Nothing else that I can attribute this to. It's just
Okay.
pettiness.
Yes, a shame. It happened in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And I covered Uganda a lot, of course, apart from Tanzania. I'm sorry, Kenya. But it's sad, so many good administrators were always sort of, stepped on. Yeah, and apart from that, Kulbir, I understand you once had a 10-minute audience with Manmohan Singh and Yusuf Gilani. That was in India, I believe.
Yes, in fact, I had the opportunity of meeting Dr. Manmohan Singh ji. But if you recollect, and I think a lot of members on the EACF will also recollect, that there was a cricket diplomacy that was exercised between India and Pakistan, two great Asian nations who played or who play their cricket with verve, with fervor, and almost as a religion. And it was on 30th March 2011. It was, I believe, a watershed event. I have written about this, and Dr. Manmohan Singh and Mr. Yusuf Raza Gilani, Sardar Yusuf Raza Gilani, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, pardon me, they came together in Manali, Punjab, and this was an ODI World Cup match, and India and Pakistan came together after a lot of time had been wasted, expended, a lot of years. And in this particular cricket diplomacy, what happened was the two nations came together, and it was a great, great event. There was a banner which even cried out loudly, which it went on to state that we have two common religions. There was a banner pronouncing this. We have two common religions, cricket and cinema. Why then fight? And, carrying on from there, I think it will be part of also rumination. Carrying on from that, I had the opportunity of talking to Dr. Manmohan Singh ji when, at the behest of President Kikwete, he had come for the South-South meeting, South-South conference meeting in Dar es Salaam. This was in January 2013. And I congratulated Dr. Manmohan Singh ji then, and I told him, I was given about 5 to 6 minutes, and I was surprised how the words kept on coming out of my mouth. The security person of Dr. Manmohan Singh tried to stop me, but Dr. Manmohan Singh just waved his hand to him, and he allowed me to come to him. And I told him that there are two words. And I said, when I speak to you, I feel like a student is speaking to a master. But we have DETENTE, detente, where Russia and United States come together in diplomacy. Then we have ENTENTE, entente, where England and France enjoy a relationship. They grow across their borders without any kind of, problems, troubles. On a similar line, if we could have this cricket diplomacy transferred or transposed in such a way that the cricketing relations, interaction brings about an excellent rapport between two nations, whereby, they can move across the borders without it. He simply smiled, and Mr. Krishnan, the foreign minister, was there also. He just extended his hand to me. And I said, Doctor, I know you have not said anything, but I would like to hug you. And again, the security man came forward. So he whisked him aside, and he allowed me to hug him.
Yeah.
And this would remain completely etched on my mind.
Oh, it certainly would. It's a shame that the two powerhouses in Asia or in the world as well have not played any bilateral cricket except in the
Yes.
World Cups. So that's the
Yeah.
only time to see these giants play each other.
Very
And
well said.
finally, Kulbe, I know that you've had a superb career as a correspondent for several newspapers. And I noticed that you recently penned an article for Zanzibar Mail. Would you like to elaborate? And what was the motivation for the write-up in this newspaper?
It would not be out of place to mention here that I have a colleague and a friend in Narendra Gajjar, who had been a press photographer in the past and did a lot of stints at the East and Central African level, traveling with the teams and being connected with cricket. And we got together in view of what transpired. The Bharatbhai Gilani just now spoke very, very, very eloquently on the laying down of the foundation of the cricket complex. And I think from that standpoint, Narendra approached me and they said that he would provide me a bit of a background, historical background with the pictures, and if we could compile an article. But the main intention of the article was to bring about a revival of cricket in Zanzibar. And in this particular context, what was stated was that the national sports councils of both Zanzibar and Tanzania, when I say Tanzania, of course, Tanzania includes Zanzibar, and there is a bit, we are treading on narrow grounds here, but Tanzania and Zanzibar sports councils could come together, and Tanzania Cricket Association currently could institute a clause in its constitution whereby Zanzibar could be included on the board of Tanzania Cricket Association. That was the main emphasis that was supposed to be imparted in that article. And it is very important that both the Zanzibar Cricket Board, they call it the Zanzibar Cricket Board, and the Tanzania Cricket Association come together and see to it that cricket in Zanzibar takes off, especially after the complex is ready, cricket stadium is ready, and international.
At that juncture, Dr. Saw, I'm sorry, my apologies to stop you midstream. What we have is a next sector where you can continue because we'll have some photos and you can finish whatever you needed to say. What else can I say, Norman? Eloquently done, as always, beautifully done. Thank you very much. And Dr. Saab, irrespective of whatever you say, Boss, you're a true legend, not just whilst you were playing, on and off the field, what you have continued with it ever since. You're still very active on the cricket side and in the field, whatever you're doing. So on behalf of everyone, thank you very much for giving us the background. We have the next segment, which will be some photos and pictures of you, and you can continue with whatever you needed to say before I stop you midstream. Before we do the picture gallery, Tanvir, can I just make a small request for a few guests who have joined in and they're not switched the videos on? You kindly switch the videos on so we can identify you. Thank you. Okay, Tanvir, can we display the picture gallery of Dr. Saab? Thank you. And
Yeah.
Dr. Saab, so my apologies, you can continue saying what you want to say in the pictures. Thank you.
Yeah. So you guys should be able to see the pictures right now. It's the Dr. K.S. Gupta Pavilion, Gymkhana Club. So Doctor, over to you. Let me know when you want me to scroll to the next one.
I'll raise my hand when I intend to do that.
All right, sounds good.
That's with Bhavin Vaishnav. This was during the time of the visit of Kapil Dev's team to Tanzania. We were both empires then. We have Subhash Bhai at the back, Kenya representative. If you take the slide forward, second one, if you see, it's the first national cricket seminar organized by Kenya Cricket Association, and the person in the probably Bharat Bhai would be able to identify this gentleman, but the man in the center is the former Kenya Cricket Association chairman. I don't remember his name now, but he was the one in 2000, the year 2000, when I umpired the final game against, between Kenya and South Africa then. And I'm speaking at that time. I was invited by Subhash Bhai, and I am speaking about the influence of drugs in cricket.
And sitting next to you, I think, is Harilal Shah, who's the captain Kenya.
Right.
Go ahead,
This is
Kulbir.
no problem. This is one of the, I think one of the final matches at the Dar es Salaam Gymkhana ground at that time. And immediately after the game, we just uprooted the sticks, and Bhavin and I are going back to the pavilion. I don't remember the exact. This is when we were going to Zambia for the East and Central African Cricket Conference meet or tournament, and I'm one of the umpires here. This is the Dar es Salaam League, and we have Al Nur Fazal on my left. We have Gadvi and Narendra on the left side. They were given the presentations for that, for being the best bowler and best batsman and best wicketkeeper then. This is, of course, I was the master of ceremony then, and I had asked a question to Kapil Dev at that time, and the question is being answered. This is on the rooftop of Dar es Salaam Gymkhana Club, and partly hidden on the other side is Bhavin Vaishnav, who was there with me at that time. This is actually the Dar es Salaam Gymkhana annual ball, where we come together. Chairman's called the Chairman's Trophy, and the best bowlers and the best players of the cricket side were awarded trophies. This is, of course, at the Kempinski Hotel, Kilimanjaro, in January 2013. And like I said, It was a pleasure. The lady is the right hand person of Dr. Sahib, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, and on his left is Mr. Krishnan, who was then the foreign minister of the Congress during the Congress administration, but then he moved over to BJP later. Here I am hugging Dr. Manmohan Singh. You can see the security guard trying to hold me at bay, but the hugging was completed. We have the lady, we have the lady, we call the Prime Minister's wife. The lady on my side is my wife, Kiran, and the lady with the spectacle at the end on the left is Mrs. Bhagirat, the Indian High Commissioner's wife at that time. Bhagirat is currently the chairman or the honorary secretary of the East African RIM, which is actually seaboard, and it comes to the control and exercise of, putting at bay the piracy in that place. So he's taken over a very important role.
And that was the last picture.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. As I mentioned to you, in our eyes, you're still a legend. And those photographs prove who you are, what you achieved, and what you've done for Cricket East Africa, and what you continue to do so. Thank you very much indeed for your time. We'll come back to you in about 5 minutes or so to finish off with ruminating and a couple of other comments from you. In the next segment, we will have Bashir Bhai Tejani will handle the open mic. Bashir Bhai will pay a tribute to Dr. His personal tribute, and he will have some guests with whom he will talk briefly and talk more about our chief guest, Gupta. Thank you, Bashir Bhai, all over to you.
Thank you, Bharat. Dr. Abaribana.
Zuri Baba.
We have gone through a very serious topic. Let's now go in the other brother's side, and I have got 2 other 4 armies to pay the tribute. So I shall start. When I was in Dar es Salaam, doctor was my neighbor. And eventually he had his dental surgeon down his house. So we had no choice but to attend and go and visit him when we have dental problems. And doctor would charge us. And he said, "Doctor, don't you believe in love thy neighbor?" He said, "Love thy neighbors does not apply in cricket." Doctor, a few things. Doctor was a very devoted and dedicated cricketer and very, very loyal to Dar es Salaam Gymkhana Club. And you can see this is to me a unique achievement, Doctor, for having been given the honor of having the K.S. Gupta Pavilion. We recently came in for the reunion for the players around the world. We were 41 veterans around there, but there are players who played for the national team in 1950s, 60s, 70s. I played in 1960, but name me one cricketer whose pavilion has been named under his name. This is a great honor to you, Doctor, and we congratulate you. Now, the other plus point of Doctor is, Doctor was the captain of the Dar es Salaam Gymkhana Club. And it is in Gymkhana Club, we have tennis, golf, cricket, rugby. All the captains do represent their activities at the management. And Doctor was representing cricket. And due to his prestige and influence, Doctor managed to make quite a number of youths, young cricketers, members on compliments, because paying Gymkhana fees was very expensive. The last one I have, because everything you have covered it up, Norman, is Doctor was a very good sports writer on cricket in the Sunday News. And I made sure that I do read Sunday News every Sunday, because I used to enjoy the articles and Doctor was very impartial. But I had one major problem. And whoever decides to go through those old articles and all, you've got to have your dictionary in front of you. Otherwise, it was very, very difficult to go through it. And Doctor, we wish you all the best. And my next battalion in the army is none other than Hamza Kasongo. But before I hand over to Hamza, Hamza was well known in his circle as HK, Hamza Kasongo. I was personally very much associated with Hamza because we were the members of Dar es Salaam Round Table, number 14. And then when we turned 40, we were members of 41 Club. But Hamza, as he started learning Gujarati, he became the chairman of Tanzania Cricket Association. And you just heard him when he mentioned the Gujarati sentence, but during his chairmanship, I had the honor and the privilege of captaining the Tanzanian national cricket side to Kenya for the quadrangular tournament for the first time. Asante sana, Hamza, the court is in your hand now with Dr. Gupta. Karibu, Hamza.
Thank you very much indeed, Bashir, whom I call BAT for BAT Bashir Tajani, and the BAT because once upon a time in my youth I did work for British American Tobacco, so I take great joy in addressing Bashir as BAT. I have known Dr. Kulbir Singh Gupta, whom I like to call, and I've always called him Dr. Saab. I first met him when he was at the Aga Khan Hospital. There, there was no problem. But when he opened his own clinic, which Bashir here has just mentioned, that's where I think, problem began. Not between him and me, but he caused the problem on my side. Wherever I went with either my wife or particularly children, Dr. Saab will start to talk more about cricket than, the reasons why we were there with the children. And when we left the clinic, the children will say, what's the matter with your friend? Why, you waste time talking about cricket, which you don't understand, and instead of attending to us first. Then I promised that, in that case, my friends, it will never occur again. Next time, we shall just go straight to treating you. But when we go there again, we find Dr. Sam has written a good article, which again Bashir mentioned, which was regularly on Sundays, on daily, Sunday news. And I would like to emphasize and reiterate what Bashir has said. Many people enjoyed the article, but on condition that they had dictionary, with them. Which again, this also propelled the indigenous Tanzanians to sort of read about cricket and understand, which was, I think, a contribution to Dr. Sab. And then he was very passionate about cricket. He wanted things to be structured, to go very, very, very structured. If there is anything going amiss, he would write letters to authorities, to everybody else. And I was privileged most of the times for him to come and explain, or rather consult with me before, he wrote those letters. But he never consulted me on his articles, because if he had done, then I would have told him, hello, this language is not comprehensible to many people. So water it down, common man's language. And then besides cricket, which you have talked a lot, and in fact you called him legend, which I will also concur. He was a very religious man, at least when he was here in Dar es Salaam. And when he was made the secretary of the temple, every year he will be
We seem to have lost Hamza Bashiba.
Yeah, we seem to have. Bashiba, do you want to carry on with your next guest, please?
Yep. My next army is Bhavin. Before I come to you, Bhavin, Bhavin is from Orlando, and he traveled all the way for the reunion, and it was a pleasure to have you, Bhavin, in Dar es Salaam. And over to you, to your empowering mate, Dr. Gupta.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and like to really thank the forum for having me on, especially Raza sir. Thank you so much. Allow me to bring it some lighter, funny moment that I had with Doctor when he migrated to USA. We both were missing cricket, but in Orlando, being a wonderful weather, we play cricket. If I don't play, I make sure I involve one way or the other. But
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you adjust your video? We can't see your, or we can only see your finger.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bhavin Bhai.
Now you can see?
It's just a bit, you lower down your face a bit. That's it, that's better. Thank you, sorry.
You got it?
Carry on. That's it.
All right. So once again, I'd like to appreciate the forum for having me on, especially Raza sir. And let me share this wonderful light moment, funny conversation that I had with Doctor. After he migrated to USA, basically we both were missing cricket, but I used to play and officiate some games in Orlando, being a good weather. So he said, yes, Bhavin, I do miss. And so I suggested, hey, why don't you officiate the baseball umpiring? So he just said, can't see players play with round bats and throw a ball with straight hand and wearing a pajama type tight pants. He couldn't bear that. So he said, that's out of question for him. I said, but then I also said that it would be nice to keep you busy. Oh, I did a lot of wicket keeping, looking at the backside of a player. Now I can't do that at the baseball umpiring. So I suggested that, hey, that there are two options. You can be you can do umpiring for the male team or a female baseball team. How about that? So he just paused for that, my suggestion, and we moved on. So I said, we'll see how about that. So let me start with some cricket here. As we all know, cricket is called gentleman's game because it's considered to hold the virtues of a gentleman. Big question is, this modern times, has the game retained the title? I read cricket analyst Aditya Bhushan's comments in the the book he has written about the integrity of the game. And he has given many examples in book. Cricket, was it ever a gentleman's game? This is the book. I think you should read it. It's very nice. But over the years, since I have played with many players and an empire, I say yes, the integrity is still there. I have known few of players and people, those who are in this region, who preached and practiced fair play in cricket. And the first name on my list is Dr. Kulbir Gupta. So finally, it's time for me, dear veterans and friends, to sum up extraordinary character of veteran cricketer, my brother and my inspiration, Paji Kulbir Singh Gupta. With this powerful quote, I couldn't have come up with many words or lines because I'm no match with Dr. Gupta, obviously. This powerful quote is from none other than Sir Donald Bradman. His quote is, "The finest of athletes have, along with skill, a few more essential qualities to conduct their life with dignity, with integrity, with courage, and perhaps most of all, modesty." I believe Paji is a reflection of Sir Donald Bradman's quote. And I so do believe you all are with me. Having said that, his contributions on and off the field is significant. I played cricket with him, conducted Empire's workshop with him, officiated many local and East and Central African cricket tournaments. But one thing he did not do, which I really hate him for this, he did not drink beer with me. So I'm still trying to accomplish that mission. God bless Paji and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavin. Harshil, before I come to you, we had a contributor here, my son, Sujat from London. He just wants to say for 2 minutes to pay tribute to Dr. Go ahead, Sujat. Are you there, Sujat?
Yes, I'm there. Yeah. Can you hear me?
2 minutes.
Yeah. So Dr. Gupta, as you mentioned, Papa, that he was our neighbor and always a fatherly figure to me, like his son Devpal. And always we had friendly sort of conversations and smiles and whatever. So yeah, playing for Union Sports Club, we had one net a week, maybe twice, but we always used to go to Dar Islam Gymkhana for nets, cricket nets. And that is where you will see Dr., behind the stumps, and then very grateful to Dr. and Gymkhana Club for that matter, that they always welcomed us and gave us to bowl and bat. Despite the attendance of many of the Gymkhana players, we still managed to bat and bowl every time. So many thanks for that. Now, whenever I went to bat, Doctor observed that, he observed my batting. And one day, as I came to bat, he said, "Sajjad, today I want you to play all ground strokes." And there came a threat with that. He said, "If you don't," because I had this tendency, like, watching my dad. This was as a teenager. I was not in the main teams yet. He said, "If you don't, then you will never get to bat again at Gymkhana." And I was afraid. I was taken aback that day. And as the balls came, I did not sky a single ball. And that was the day, that was the time I started then, converting that same philosophy of playing ground strokes in the matches, in the games. And I started piling runs slowly and steadily. And I thank Doctor for that. Had he not made that threat, I would have continued maybe I would have not been the batsman I was after that. So, Doctor, thank you very much for that. And as far as your articles are concerned, of course, Dad has already mentioned that, yes, I was struggling as well. I had to sit with the dictionary whenever we read. Thank you, Doctor. And so the last match I played in Dar es Salaam before I migrated to London, we played Union Friends Club in a Saturday knockout. And they had 2 expatriates which were flown in. And that day we knew that we would lose that game because these expatriates would come and score runs and get wickets. It was a shorter version of the game, 30 overs. But that day I remember, Doctor, and I said, today, whatever happens, even if we lose, I am not going to give away my wicket. I will play until the last ball, and I will play ground strokes, and I will not sky any ball. And believe you me, in the last over, we managed to win the game, and I managed to get man of the match. And Doctor was umpiring. I don't know if, Doctor, you remember, you also spoke at the end, and probably you presented me with the trophy that day in Saturday. It was in 1995. But thank you very much, Doctor. The batsman I've become, I all owe it to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My last army is Herschel. I met Herschel in Dar es Salaam during the veteran reunion. Just to say a few things about Herschel, he was playing cricket since the age of 12, represent Tanzania national team under 19, and the senior teams for many years. He's currently the captain of Dar es Salaam Gymkhana Club. Herschel, over to your colleague, Dr. Gupta. You there, Herschel?
Yes, thank you, Bashir Bhai, for having me on. Thank you, everyone, for giving me this opportunity. Dr. Gupta, well, what can I say about him? He has been an inspiration. I started playing cricket under him. When I joined cricket, when I first had the taste of a real hardball at the age of 12 years, that was probably in 1996. I started at Gymkhana, and Dr. Gupta was there. And over the years, his philosophy of being able to balance life and to treat cricket with discipline and with principles has really helped me throughout my life, I can say. And we had a lot of ups and downs, but I can say cricket still keeps me sane. And it is all due to Dr. Gupta's initial years of fervor and the push that he gave us, especially me. I started off with Abik. Abik and I, we joined together. Abik is the current captain of the Tanzanian team in 1996. And we used to go there, obviously as kids, 12-year-olds, you don't get much. For 3 months, we're just fielding, not getting anything to bowl or to bat. There are so many players. There are team A, team B. But we never used to, feel bad. These days, kids, if you don't give them, a bat or a ball in 2 sessions, they are out of there. But that really taught us patience, teamwork, and all of that. So 3 months, we never used to even touch anything. And then after that, slowly, the seniors, including Dr. Gupta, saw us, and then they're like, okay, let us give you a try. And then slowly, one of these days when I was 13, in 97, one of the guys got injured and I got a game. And Dr. Gupta gave me a chance to bowl. I was a left-arm bowler. And I ended up getting a wicket in that game. And then slowly, I started playing for Gymkhana. The whole teamwork and the way he led the team, he really brought us all together. And the sense of camaraderie and teamwork was really all the more. It was very good family atmosphere. And in those days, it would used to be a longer version of the game. So we'd be playing 30 overs, 50 overs in white clothing, take tea breaks and, lunch breaks. So it was all of like a family day, Sunday outing. There was not much of TV going on. There was no cable TV or anything. at that point of time. So Sundays were really time to enjoy cricket and enjoy time with family, which is a family away from family. And as you can say, Dr. Gupta was as good as my father then. So it was just fantastic, learning from him. And we also went through our downs around about in 2009 or 10. At that time, we had probably been with Gymkhana for over 40 years. And we faced difficulties in getting members on board. There were not enough cricket members. And the management committee of Gymkhana was putting pressure on us, saying, guys, if you don't get enough members soon, then we'll have to kick you out. We will make this cricket ground into a driving range. And as one of you rightly said, it is not easy for someone's name to be on the pavilion of the cricket section. And that is the reason why Dr. Gupta's name is. It's a very interesting story. At that point, we probably had about just 4 cricket members, paying cricket members of Gymkhana Club. All the rest were non-members. We just used to show up and and go away at the end of the day, not paying Gymkhana as paid subscribed members. So he really, paid an emotional tribute to all of us and said, guys, you have grown up with us. And me as well. I wasn't a member then, mind you, and so many of us as well. And he just sat with some of the younger guys who had their parents and sat with us who had just, recently come back from studies. And they said, now you are starting to work. You should take responsibility. This is like your home ground. You have grown up here. You should start becoming members. And then he just really put that effort into us. And we became members en masse. We can say he got about 10, 15 members straight away. And we presented that to the management committee, and then they were glad to see that there are now 15 to 17 paid cricket members. And that really saved the cricket ground. Otherwise, right now that Gymkhana Pavilion or the Kulbir Singh Gupta Pavilion would just be a driving range for golf. No one of us would be playing, and you would have missed a great ground. So the tribute goes to him that he really, led us through our ups and downs. And whatever you see at Gymkhana today is his legacy, and he richly deserves the pavilion being named after him. And myself as well, I'm really inspired by him. If even I can leave half a legacy that he has left, I would be proud of myself at the end of my cricket career. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashel. Thank you. Hamza.
Yes, VAT.
Sorry, Bashir, before you come to Hamza, it's great to see you again. You'll be doing the closing remarks, and you can finish off whatever you left trying to say. So if you just excuse me, we're running a bit short of time, so I need to move on to the next item. Before I do so, Bashir, thank you very much indeed. Very well done. Fantastic contributions from Bashir, Hamza, and of course, Bhavin Bhai. Really appreciate very good stories behind the scenes. So appreciate it again. We'll quickly move on to Hamza. You'll get your chance. Don't worry, my friend. We'll quickly move on to a very short presentation from Dr. Gupta again, just ruminating about his stories. So what do you, Doctor? Please try to keep it short.
Yeah, in fact, like I said, I might take about 6 to 7 minutes. During India's tour to Pakistan in March 2004, Virender Sehwag was on his way to a record-breaking 309 in the first test. A frustrated Shoaib Akhtar was unable to trouble him at all. So he began to bowl short pitch deliveries, to which Sehwag just ducked under. So exasperated, Shoaib began to suggest to Sehwag to hook. So there were exaggerated gestures on his part with miming. After his third such act, Sehwag asked him loudly, now this is in Hindi, tu bowling kar raha hai ya bheek mang raha hai? The Pakistani fielders broke into laughter. After that, Shoaib did not offer any more advice. I mean, this was in a lighter vein, not trying to hurt the sentiments of any cricketers for that matter. I'm just towing the line which Razabai set for me. And that was just to give you a bit of a humorous touch. One thing that I would like to ruminate about is how I started as a correspondent for the various newspapers in Tanzania. It was in Form 2 that I had written a small letter to the editor. The editor happened to be Mr. Benjamin Mkapa, the third president of the Republic of Tanzania. He was the editor of Daily News, Sunday News, then Tanganyika Standard newspapers, group of newspapers. And I had gone to see him with that letter. He read the letter. The letter appeared in Sunday News, and it gave me a fillip, a lift. And what he told me has remained with me to this day of life. He said, son, keep on writing. Don't let up. I remember his words, and that has provided me the inspiration for a long time for that matter. I'm grateful to Bashir Bhai, Bashir Tijani, Hamza Kasongo, Bhavin Vaishnav, Sajjad Tijani, and Harshal Shah for stating positively my sides of life, my facets of life, and I'm really grateful that I have these friends who always will prop me up whenever I call them to do so. And in the end, when it comes to ruminating again, I will say that there is one incident that comes to my mind. It is the Tar Muhammad Trophy that was held on Coast Gymkhana or Anadil Bunani ground. The match was between Union and I believe it was a side from Zambia. And we're not naming names again. We have Union Sports Club playing, and I had with me Ghulam Sheikh, another umpire of repute, who was in the striker's position. The strikers, he stood in the square leg position, striker's position, and I was the bowler's end umpire then. To a ball that was received by the striker turned it to the square leg side. A Union, rather a player from Zambia collided with Ghulam Sheikh, and Ghulam Sheikh was knocked out. Now, the game was actually in its concluding stages, and they needed a run to go into the final of the next round of the Tar Muhammad, which was actually the final stage. What happened was we could see that the batsman had not reached the other end, and the bowler came. I mean, the person came running. One of the players came running, and he uprooted the sticks. And Ghulam Sheikh was knocked out. Ghulam Sheikh couldn't make a decision. Says they all charged over to me, to my side, as the bowlers and umpire, and asked for the decision. I simply said, it is not under my jurisdiction. It is for the the batsman there to make a decision whether he was out or not and go out into this according to the spirit of the game. But the match was won by Union Sports Club at that time, and it has always remained with me. What could have been the other solution to this question? Last but not the least, in opening this book of life of mine for a little while, for those who have been instrumental in creating the EACF and the other fora of cricket, it is my sincere hope and confidence that you will all exhibit your love and affinity and empathy for me in appreciating what I have said. And in case I've trespassed on anyone's feelings, forgive me for the trespasses if I may have done so. With that, thank you, Norman in particular, for having conducted this interview in such a professional way. Thank you all for listening to me. Forgive me for my trespasses, if any.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bharat Bhai.
Thank you, Colbert.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Very well done. We appreciate your time. And as I mentioned twice already, you're still a legend, and we appreciate the legends like you guiding us through for the next few years. So keep up whatever you're doing, and we'll obviously catch up very, very soon. Before I pass it on to Hamza for the closing remarks, and obviously to finish off his closing remarks, I need to do a few on the admin side. Like what I've just mentioned, please note that our motto is to forge brotherhood with all the East African cricketers, past and present. We don't have any jurisdiction over how the individual cricket boards within the East African countries run, or any rules and regulations. But as always, our cricket family and friendship are very important. So accordingly, it's free to pass on any feedback, any suggestions on how to improve these events, or any constructive criticism where we are going wrong. These comments can be channeled various ways, method that you feel comfortable with, either through a WhatsApp message in our group, a personal message to one of the organizers present here today, a personal phone call if you feel comfortable with it, or even an email to any one of us. There are three other items that I need to cover on behalf of the organizing team that are very important because it relates to the events that we organize. First one was the very successful cricketers gathering, which was held in Nairobi in June this year. It was extremely well organized event. We had a lot of cricketers from Kenya and other East African countries visiting. I was delighted and I was privileged to be asked to be part of the committee, and I went in person and thoroughly enjoyed the event. Likewise, only last month, there was an event that was organized in Dar es Salaam. Again, I was invited personally. I could not attend it, but I'm sure either Kishore Bhai or one of the attendees like Bashir Bhai may want to say very briefly before we close the meeting and how the event went. I know for sure it went extremely well. Finally, after much consideration, there is an intention to hold an East African cricketers reunion in 2024 in UK. This is at the early stage of planning. So we will continue to keep you posted. If there's any suggestions, any ideas, any dates, any venues, or how it should be held, please do let us know. UK has been suggested probably it's more central to the rest of the world. It's easy for travel purposes, either from East Africa or America, Canada, or wherever they happen to be. But that is at a very, very early stage. Finally, thank you once again to all of you gracing the event. I know that your time is very precious and very valuable. At this stage, I must also thank and mention the entire committee who all spent a lot of their personal time in planning and organizing this gathering. Special thanks and a end of appreciation by us all, our technical guru, Tanvir, who has always done a wonderful job. Thank you, Tanvir.
Thank you,
Over to
Tanvir.
Hamza. Over to Hamza Kasonga. Sorry, we lost you in the middle. You can finish off whatever you wanted to say before do your closing remarks. Thank you once again. We'll all catch up soon.
Thank you very much indeed, Bharat. My apologies, I disappeared a little bit. For those who live in Dar es Salaam will know that I had to work on the generator for a little while. My apologies. Dr. Sab, you are lucky you are no longer experiencing this fun, which we are still having, sadly. And I wanted to say that Dr. Sab is a deeply religious man and very generous indeed. Every year when I was in DTV Channel 10, he would call me to ask for reporters to go and cover their blood donations, which he organized for his temple. And, you know, there was a row of 6 people there with the turbans, you know, giving out blood. And Dr. Sabo enjoyed, I think, you know, to see his peers, you know, lining there. I did not see himself really giving out blood, but he was very happy to see others give their pint of blood. And then one thing which really sort of came to mind from the reporters who I sent, when they came back after they said, you know, we had a good time, we reported, and they put on good stories. Then in the course of the year, they'll come and ask me, how is your friend, Dr. Gupta? I said, well, you're asking Dr. Then I remembered, yes, this is because they were given some sodas after every event. So thank you, Dr. Sabu, from my peers at DTV Channel 10. And in my closing remarks, I would like to say a big thank you and congratulations to the people, Razakara, and whoever was involved in the establishment of this forum. You will, I'm sure, agree with me that it has been of tremendous benefit because it has rekindled the friendship which, you know, was beginning either to wane or, you know, was not there at all. And as you heard, for those of you who were on earlier on, Raza saying that he had a problem looking for me for about, you know, a greater part of the last year. So I thank you for that. And really, I would thank everybody who has taken part this evening. I will start with Bharat Glani, you know, who has really steered the ship here very, very efficiently and professionally. And also Bashir Tajani, who was the interviewee in the next show. And not forgetting Norman Da Costa, who interviewed our chief guest, Dr. Sab. And Sajid Tejani for taking us to Zanzibar then and now. And it is my hope that the now will flourish and bring back to Zanzibar the love of cricket. In fact, the Zanzibaris, especially here I'm talking about the indigenous people, began playing and enjoying cricket much, much earlier than here of us on the mainland. And as it is mentioned, I was the first indigenous chairperson of Tanzania Cricket Association, and I do not know if there has been any other one. So here I will urge that you know, we I would encourage the present management of TCA to bring in more local people. I know, and I salute them for taking the game to the schools and creating a fantastic women's team, which has brought in fantastic players. And now I see that they've got a team manager and a coach who are indigenous, but that is not enough, because the game of cricket is really, really fantastic. And it brings in a lot of friends, as you can see from this little group which has taken part here this evening. We have, I'm sure, I'm speaking on all your behalf, that we have thoroughly enjoyed what has transpired and exchanged between us. Then, of course, I cannot forget Tanvira, the man, who is behind it all, who made it possible for us to see each other, one another. And without him, this would not have been, possible. And I think, let's keep, the flame, alight, because game of cricket.
Sorry to interrupt you, but before you say the final words, could you please say them in Gujarati? We'd love to hear your Gujarati vocabulary, please, so we can all understand.
Chalte, chalte, chalte. But I am only good in Gujarati when I'm talking in front of girls.
Yeah, okay, any joke, we'll do a quick joke. I know we overrun the time, but another minute or so will not make any difference.
Bharat, if you want jokes, please go to Kalasinga, bwana, not me. As the BAT or Bashito will say, we had a very, very, dirty jokes in round table. And here we cannot give them because, as you can see, it is a mixture now of us, the elders, and our children are now, in the group as well. So we cannot repeat those jokes. Absolutely not.
Well done, Hamza. Well done, everyone. On behalf of the team, my sincere apologies for running the session a bit late. We just started a few minutes late, and with the technical problems we managed. Once again, thank you very much indeed for everyone taking part, and we'll catch up very shortly. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. See you soon.